here are the red flags to watch out for in your buyer when selling your business. So first, we're going to cover the SBA loan-driven market, typically $0 to $5 million. And in this level, you're going to typically be selling to an individual. So these are going to be the things to look out for if you're selling to an individual person, and then we'll cover if you're selling to a private equity company or another company. So the first thing you want to watch out for, the first red flag in a buyer, is that they have no sales, management, or industry experience. That they're coming into this completely blind. They really don't know how to manage people. They don't know how to sell to customers, and they don't understand your industry. So that's going to be a big red flag. You want to make sure that you're finding people that are qualified, because this buyer needs to run your business. It's not just a transaction. They're going to have to come in and they're going to have to be successful, or else your business is going to fail. What you've built over all those years could go under. 2, they refuse to show proof of funds or a loan pre-approval. I know a lot of buyers can be hesitant to show those because a lot of the times the sellers and most business brokers, very few business brokers actually understand the financing markets. You only really need 2.5% to put down to buy a business. So you want to make sure that you can verify that buyers are qualified to buy the business, but you need to make sure that you're checking the right things. So a relatively small amount of cash will go a long way for the buyer, but they should still be willing to show proof of funds that they can come up with the 2.5% really to 3% once you add in deal costs. So 2.5% of the total project. The project gets bigger because they're going to probably borrow their working capital, and they'll probably roll their legal fees into the loan. So really it can end up being closer to 2.8, say 3% of the purchase price. But that's all they need. Number 3, they call themselves investors, or they use the phrase boring business. One, the phrase boring business, it's really insulting to anyone that owns a business. It's been made very popular by some social media personalities that have really pitched that as that people need to go out and buy boring businesses. And really, you're bringing in the wrong type of buyer at that point. It's usually someone who doesn't understand your industry, doesn't really understand what it takes to own and run a business. We do a lot of work helping people buy businesses. And typically when people come into our program to buy businesses, whenever someone is using the phrase boring business, they usually end up not being a great buyer. So just from experience, that's a red flag. And a person that calls themselves an investor, again, they're just looking for any old business. They probably don't have the expertise to run your business. Basically, you want to make sure you're just selling for a good, financially backed person with a good background, is going to have the ability to run the business so that they can maintain your employees, so your employees don't get laid off, and they can maintain your legacy. Now, if you're selling a larger business, say you're going to sell for more than $5 million, there's a good chance that you're going to end up selling to private equity or potentially another company in your industry. Now, I know the phrase private equity, a lot of people will get really, get some bad feelings when they hear that phrase, but it's really just such a broad term. It's basically just a group of people that have pooled their money together. So that group of people could have any objective. So private equity companies are just as diverse as people are. There really isn't a one-size-fits-all analysis of private equity. Generally, of course, the media is going to always focus on the bad actors, the barbarians at the gate mentality, but that's not true of all private equity firms. Now, some things to watch out for and some red flags in the private equity firm that's buying your business. One, you just want to check their reputation. Of course, if they have a reputation of gutting companies, they're probably going to come in and gut your company. So you want to look at the marketing of the firm. Are they just highly focused on cost cutting? Because that's code for they're going to fire your people. Do they have a reputation for that? You can start Googling and searching and seeing what you can find out about them. If you know anyone that's interacted with them, you can ask kind of what their style is. Are they just going to come in and try to cut expenses, or are they going to try to grow the business? Number 2 is when they're trying to structure the deal in ways that are just overly advantageous to them. They do a lot more deals than you do. This might be the only major transaction that you're going to do in your entire life. They do them all the time. Bad firms are going to take advantage of that. They're going to make sure that this deal is highly structured in their favor. So if you're working with your attorney and your advisors and you see that they keep stacking the deck in their favor, take that as a red flag. Then maybe you might want to sell to a different private equity firm, even if maybe their total price is a little lower, just because you might not end up getting that full price that this firm is advertising. Number 3, the principals can't clearly articulate a growth strategy for your business. So if they don't have a growth strategy for your business, why are they buying your business? Basically, you just need to dig in, learn about the reputation of the firm that's buying your business, which can be tough because most private equity firms are, well, very private. Actually, for some SEC regulations, they're not allowed to just put their marketing materials online or for the broad consumer to see. There are actually regulations. Only certain people are allowed to see that information. But as a potential target, you would qualify as someone who would be eligible to see their information. So ask for everything they have about the firm, all the marketing, everything they have. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It's marketing. Marketing's always going to paint them in a good light, but it'll still give you an idea of what they are up to. And I would say selling to an individual company, really pretty similar to the private equity. The information about the company might be more readily available, but generally the analysis is going to be the same. So think about selling to a company similar as selling to private equity. So if you need help finding the right buyer for your business, whether it's an individual or whether it's a private equity firm, reach out and we can help.